to the basket player. 65% field goal percentage. The assist numbers for Waters also extremely strong, 20th best in all of the NCAA.
Sean, this is no cupcake non-con game for LSU. This Lumberjacks team is 9-1 on the season with a frenetic defense that forces a lot of turnovers.
That's an understatement. I mean, they lead the nation in steals. They average 27.6 per game off of turnovers. You think about South Carolina and the defense that Frank Martin plays for a lot of SEC fans that are watching this game. Turn it up a notch, and that's where you got Stephen F. Austin.
Inside, and the contested jam by Gilmore, and we have our first foul of the afternoon.
Well, Kyle Keller, the second-year head coach for Stephen F. Austin, this is exactly how he wants his team to play. They play quick, they play aggressive, and they attack. And self-admittedly last year, he said he put a lot on his plate in his first season and was trying to manage everything. This year, he's done a better job of delegating, but also being comfortable with his team and his roster, and that's a big reason why this Lumberjacks team is 9-1 this season.
A longtime assistant getting his first Division I head coaching job, 27-16 in his 2 seasons as the head coach. Gilmore hits both of the free throws after the foul had been called by Skylar Mays, and this sets up the press for the Lumberjacks. Ahead it comes to Mays, and Skylar Mays blows the layup. Harris down on the deck to get the rebound, and a jump ball is called. Possession arrow favors the Tigers.
Well, first and foremost, I think both teams would be upset right there. Stephen F. Austin's going to be upset that they gave up a wide-open layup, and LSU's going to be embarrassed by the fact that they were unable to complete it. I mean, granted, it's jump ball, they get the ball back out of bounds, but irrelevant. They make the layup, and that's what you need to see.
Convert the fast break points in a timeout called by LSU as they're unable to get the ball inbounds, and Will Wade is fired up over on the LSU bench.
Well, and he's fired up for good reason. His team is not cutting. They're not moving. They're not getting open on the out-of-bounds underneath. All week long, they've looked at the scouting report, and they've watched film on Stephen F. Austin. And the one thing you're going to know about Stephen F. Austin is that they are disruptive. That is the moniker, and that is the wording that they want to use at the defensive end of the floor. So they're going to force you to extend out. They're going to make you initiate your offense. They're going to about 3 or 4 feet further out than you normally do. They're going to cut off and deny at the wings. They're going to try to take away option number 1 and overplay the passing lanes. So you have to cut with a better purpose and better awareness, and LSU did not do that on that out of bounds underneath.
Well, Coach Wade was highly agitated early in yesterday's practice, said you guys look like you looked before the Notre Dame game, which of course was a 40-point blowout loss to the Fighting Irish, by far their worst loss of the season. Nearly a turnover. Waters gets it back to the corner, and Epps, who's coming off a career game of 26 points and 16 rebounds in their 3-point win over Houston.
Epps so inept to picking and popping and spacing to the corner. That is where he is most comfortable from beyond the arc.
4th consecutive game they've started Epps. They have won the 3 that he started before. Gilmore launches the 3. And the rebound controlled by Sims, had it stolen away and lost out of bounds by the Jacks.
Now you go back to that last offensive possession. So much attention given to Waters a little bit late in the closeout. The hand was not where you wanted to see it. And there's the 3. Too much space given there. You've got to be able to make sure you cheat and you get up the line a little bit more.
Just the 6th 3-pointer that Epps has hit this season. He hit 2 in the Houston game. This Lumberjacks team, number 1 in the country in steals per game. Over 13 steals per game. They lob inside, and it's stolen away again.
Those are called lollipop passes. You cannot throw lollipop passes against Stephen F. Austin.
Holyfield. And TJ Holyfield knocks down the 3.
And you see how they score, right? I mean, immediately, Matt, they get the turnover, they look, and although they do not score out in transition, a live ball turnover leads to a scrambled defensive possession and a good look from the outside.
Holyfield averages 16 a game. He's number 6 in the Southland Conference. Mays gets to the other side of the rim and flicks it in off the glass. Skylar Mays coming off an 18-9 performance against Houston on Wednesday. This is their leading scorer. Harris has it knocked out of bounds. Kevon Harris out of Ellenwood, Georgia, in the Atlanta area.
Watch this pass, though, by Waters. That's a freshman mistake right there. I mean, that ball is like a rainbow dropping in, and with the length and aggressiveness of Stephen F. Austin, they're going to rotate through it, and now the defense gets flattened out a little bit. You kick it out, you find a wide-open shooter in Holyfield able to knock it in.
Kevon Harris, their leading scorer at 17.5 a game, number 3 in the Southland, goes to the bench early. Kennett off the inbounds. Kennett averaged 7.6 a game. He's a senior out of Lake Worth, Florida.
Now you'll notice on the press too, what Stephen F. Austin's trying to do is take the ball out of Waters' hands. So they're double teaming Waters, not allowing him to get the initial inbounds pass and forcing other players to have to start the offense, like Edwards, who has been dribbling now for about 15 seconds. No passes in this possession. That's the first one.
And there's Will Wade in his first season as the Tigers head coach. After 4 very successful seasons, first at Chattanooga and then at VCU.
Yeah, and I think an outstanding hire here at LSU, and you see it already paying off as far as on the recruiting front. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but more importantly, where you see it paying off is energy level and effort. And this LSU team is playing with a renewed sense of purpose, and they're playing with a fire that we haven't seen, in particular in the last couple of seasons here at LSU.
No doubt about it. Was very successful at VCU. Took him to the NCAA tournament 2 years in a row. Edwards on the drive. Ansawar ends up with it in the corner. And an offensive foul on Randy Ansawar.
That is the defense, though, that you've come to expect from the Lumberjacks. On that possession, Waters didn't even really get his hands on the ball in an operational area. That is outstanding defense and rotation and help.
Early 7-5 lead for the Lumberjacks, playing LSU for the first time ever. Neiman in at the top of the circle. 10 on the shot clock. The cut to the basket, whip to the corner, and Kennett launches the 3.
That is beautiful offense, though. Strong side drive, back cut, and then all the way to the opposite corner for the 3.
Tigers beat the defense down the floor and get the layup from Epps. Holyfield takes a 3-pointer. Charles gets the rebound. Inside to Holyfield, and a foul is going to be called on LSU.
And you watch this, the action starts to go away. So now you're attacking on the weak side, right? You've got 3 guys on the opposite side. The defense all rotates over. Poor recognition that time for LSU, and then out in transition. I think this is going to be really key for LSU. The more buckets you can get against the pressure, the better the opportunities will for you to be successful. You don't want to have to play against them with them in your face in the half-court set every single possession. It wears you out over the long haul of the game.
Foul was called on Waters. There's 2 now on LSU, and that gives the fresh set here for the Lumberjacks. They have the early 3-point lead. Kennett runs into traffic and a traveling call.
You're driving into 3 bodies that are wearing white jerseys and you're wearing a purple jersey. You better stop, and you better find somebody in a purple shirt.
Waters brings it across, drives coast to coast, out of control, and a foul is going to be called on the Lumberjacks.
Now, one of the Achilles heel for the Lumberjacks has been their foul issues. They have been in a lot of foul trouble throughout the course of the season. In fact, against Rice, they almost set the school record for fouls. And so in the early stage of this game, you've got to keep an eye on that, and you've got to be able to play pressure defense without fouling. And it's a tough thing that Coach Keller is asking his team to do, but they train to work with it every single day.
They beat Rice 81-62 in their last game, and the Owls went to the foul line 41 times in that game.
You know what he tried to do to try to help eliminate some of the fouls? This week when they practiced defense, he had the offense using a tennis ball.
Try to keep him from reaching. We had a great time visiting with Coach Keller, or Kyle as he likes to be called, last night. Waters whips it on the baseline, and the dunk by Reed. And a foul on the play as well.
Well, you get breaking down on the outside. Your help side defense is slow and rotating over. And you want to know what makes Waters special? It's plays like this. A little hesitation. Find the big fella and get a high percentage look. LSU got it.
Four minutes in here at the PMAC. Stephen F. Austin with the 10-9 lead on LSU. I'm Matt Stewart, joined by esteemed ESPN college basketball analyst Sean Farnham.
I'll give you the $20 later.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say. Isn't that what you wanted me to say? What does LSU have to do to win this game against a very tough Lumberjacks defense?
Well, I think it all starts with their point guard play. We just saw in that last possession how Waters can impact the game even without scoring. And obviously they need him to score. But he applies so much pressure against pressure. A lot of teams that pressure the basketball, they're anticipating that you're going to play on your heels and that you're going to be passive. And we saw that early out of the freshman where he lobbed that ball in on the lollipop pass and it got stolen and went down to the other end. That last possession, he didn't settle. He drove aggressively, forced the back line of the defense to shift and rotate, and he found a teammate and made life easy for him. And he needs to do a lot more of that this afternoon for LSU to get the win.
I love the confidence of the Lumberjacks as we went with them to their film session last night, and they went through the review of what LSU would do, and they had great confidence coming into this arena, and as well they should. They've been one of the top road-winning teams in this decade in college basketball.
Well, we appreciate Coach Keller with the all-access that we had. I mean, they had all-access yesterday with the Philadelphia 76ers. If you and I had a camera, we would have had all-access with the Lumberjacks.
That's right. Epps battling for the rebound underneath. It's off his hands, so the Lumberjacks get the ball on the baseline. Stephen F. Austin at 9-1 on the season. Have not played since that aforementioned 19-point win against Rice last Saturday. They've won 5 straight since their only loss of the season, which was an 80-75 loss at Mississippi State on November 22nd.
Well, you want to talk about how efficient Stephen F. Austin is. They've forced only 2 turnovers so far in the game, and they've got 6 points off of it. So you turn it over, you better value the basketball.
Yeah,
and that's why you always look at the point guard.
Harris back in there, lobs inside for Holyfield. Nice job whipping it around the arc. 3-point miss by Bogues. Reset of the 30 after the offensive rebound. Augustin, their point guard, gives it to Harris. Harris launches the 3, and the rebound controlled by Rochelle and the LSU Tigers. I really like Brandon Rochelle, a freshman. Rochelle kicks it to the corner. 3-pointer knocked down by Darrell Edwards, who averages 5 a game.
Well, you know Edwards is a shooter, and that's one of the things that was talked about ad nauseum last night in the film session for the Lumberjacks. You've got to stay attached. You've got to know where he is. And you help and you pinch off and you stunt, and you're just a little bit late in your closeout. They really want to run Edwards off the line and force him to become a driver.
Edwards is now 11 of 24 on his threes this season, over 70% of his field goal attempts behind the three-point line. Holyfield working against Sims inside on a single team. Going to spin on him, misses with the left hand, and off the hands of the Tigers. Reith fumbled it out of bounds. Lumberjacks have been able to get inside on this LSU defense.
Oh, beautiful pass.
They do it again, and Holyfield banks it in.
Holyfield does such a nice job pinning and sealing, in particular on that possession, forcing the defense on the high side, creating the seam in the gap to drop that ball off.
Holyfield number 3 in the Southland Conference in field goal percentage. He's number 1 in three-point percentage. Mays misses the layup. It was contested at the rim. And here come the Lumberjacks, tied at 12. Stolen away by Skylar Mays. Gets by Gilmore. Gets the layup to fall this time.
Well, Mays already missed a couple of layups in the game. Finally sees that one go down, but the turnover opportunity for LSU.
Two-point lead, LSU. Bowes to Gilmore, battling against Reith with the left hand.
And all too easy that time for Gilmore. I mean, he just got where he wanted, right on the block. Rob Reith standing right behind him, offering very little resistance.
We've talked about the good things for LSU, the scoring, the shooting better, but they have not been a good defensive team so far this season. Rochelle misses the layup.
Well, one of the things that Coach Keller is not going to be happy is the frequency in which LSU is getting attempts at the iron.
Gilmore misses the layup and fumbled out of bounds by Holyfield.
Not this possession, but the possession before. Look at where Gilmore is. Now he catches the ball. They don't bring the double team. And you're standing straight up with your arms straight up. It allows the offensive player to get through. And then this was LSU flipping the script a little bit on the Lumberjacks, getting a turnover right over half court and then finding an easy layup.
As I mentioned, the Tigers have had their deficiencies defensively. They're last in the SEC in points allowed, field goal percentage defense, 3 field goal percentage defense, rebounds, and blocks per game. Stolen away. Como up the floor. A man to beat. Had a shot blocked from behind by Rochelle. Harris on the follow got fouled.
The defense that you just saw at the other end of the floor is exactly what they want to do. They get the ball to Reith. Look, you got 3 guys surrounding him. He's not a great assist maker or playmaker, so when you bring the double team, you can really become ultra aggressive, and a nice job by Como to cut off that passing lane and get the steal.
Kevon Harris at the line for the first time today.
Well, his numbers have been absolutely ridiculous. In the last 2 games, averaging 28 points per contest, shooting 70% from the field and 79% from 3. I mean, that's video game. That's rookie level video game. I mean, that's not even real.
Well, recognized by the Southland Conference for the second time, he's won the Player of the Week award already this season. 4 of the Jacks' 9 20-point games have come from him this season. In the corner, Sims hits the 3.
Well, Will Wade told me that he feels like his team is a much better shooting team than they've even shown from beyond the arc, and they're showing it today. The multitude of guys that feel comfortable stepping, in particular, you notice where a lot of these threes are coming from are deep in the corner. That's the highest percentage three-point shot, statistically speaking, that you can shoot.
Meantime, the Jacks get Holyfield off the glass there. He's got 7 of their 16 points. They scored quickly. Reith inside on a shot pass. 3-point lead for LSU. Holyfield working against Sims. Couldn't get the drop step. 8 on the shot clock. Now 4 on the shot clock, and Holyfield takes a long 3. Rebound controlled by the Jacks and Charles, and a jump ball called. The possession arrow favors the Lumberjacks.
Well, LSU has found its rhythm, and it's been from beyond the arc in the game. 3 of their 8 made field goals from deep.
Tonight at 8:30 Eastern, we'll take you to Columbia from Missouri, squaring off against North Florida, right here on the SEC Network and streaming live on the ESPN app. As we welcome you back to the PMAC, the first of 4 games here on the SEC Network today. Tigers out to a 3-for-3 shooting start from behind the three-point line.
Well, and they're doing it off the pass. An outstanding job of sharing the basketball right now for LSU. They've assisted on 5 of their 8 made field goals, 3 of which we just showed you, all from beyond the arc. They're catch and shoot threes with their feet set deep in the corner. And you look at the season numbers at 37%. And again, as I mentioned, Will Wade, talking with him before the game today, he said, look, we're a much better three-point shooting team than we're showing. He thinks they could be around 42, 43% by the end of the year. Those need to start with the high percentage looks that you're getting this afternoon.
You know, and that said, they're making 8 threes per game, which is up from 6.3 a year ago. And their percentage is also up from 33.6 to 36.8. But as you pointed out, Coach Wade is looking for even more. As you take a look at the LSU season summary and the 1-2 record against the RPI top 50, but their big win coming against Michigan this season. Also, the win over Houston on Wednesday was a top 100 RPI.
2 nice wins there, and a big part of that is that Michigan win looks better and better. They knock off UCLA, they beat Texas. You have a Houston team that already knocked off Arkansas this year. So, look, for Will Wade's team, it's year 1. This is all about the foundation of where you're at and where you want to go. And he's changing the mindset, he's changing the culture, he's retraining the veterans and exposing the freshmen to the way that he wants this program to look and how he wants it to play.
You know, he said in the past this team was always waiting for the next bad thing to happen. Case in point, when Brandon Sampson got hurt in the game out in Maui. You know, typically in the past this team would kind of fold and look, oh man, what's going to happen here? He says we've rallied, the next man has stepped up and done his job.
And they're expecting to get Sampson back relatively soon.
That was Bogues on the reverse layup. They really like him a lot. They feel like Bogues is a Power 5 conference type player.
Well, you see that rip through and drive. I think if I'm playing defense against Bogues right now, I'm letting him shoot the 3. He's 0 for 10 from 3 in his last 5 games. So what does he want to do? He wants to drive. He wants to be aggressive. Don't allow him to get there. Force him to think about taking a shot.
Nice recognition by Reith right there to find the open man, and Rochelle drops it in. Three-point lead for the Tigers. Niemanen hits the three-pointer. Just his 3rd of the season.
It's the kind of game you and I both expected. We expect this game to be tight throughout.
Yep.
Stephen F. Austin, much improved from even where they were a season ago, now in year 2 under Coach Keller. Really good defensive team, a great test for LSU. Stephen F. Austin's going to be an NCAA tournament team this year. Now, they're the favorite in the preseason to win the Southland, and I haven't seen anything that would indicate anything other than them being the favorite heading into conference play.
A year ago, they were 12-6 in the Southland. They finished second. It snapped a string of 4 consecutive conference regular season titles and a string of 3 consecutive berths in the NCAA tournament. And when they get there, they do some damage. They're not a one and done when they get to the big dance.
When you think about the Southland overall, and you look at the numbers, the tournament, the road wins, as you mentioned, 56. That's second, tied with Bucknell, 2 behind Wichita State since 2011-2012. Outside the Southland this year, you think about University of Central Arkansas. Everybody was really surprised when they took UCLA, who was then 20th in the country, into overtime. Then they go back out west and they play another Pac-12 school in Cal, and Cal's struggling mightily this year. But they were up by as many as 35 in that game before they won by 27.
Charles inside, and Charles with the basket. They're just now getting Ty Charles back, their senior, who has really been plagued by injuries in the 2 seasons that Kyle has been the head coach, and coming off a shoulder surgery. This is just the 5th game he's played in this season. Mays drives, big step through, and gets the layup.
You can be aggressive, you can lunge, and you can reach, but you better make sure you get your fingertips on the ball. If you don't, you're giving up a lane, and a nice job by Mays recognizing that.
Mays is their leading scorer so far today. He has 6, averages right under 13 a game. Lob inside, poor pass, intercepted by Epps. Wusser with the dribble. He was the Big Sky Player of the Year a year ago. Averaged 27 points per game. To the corner it goes, and the three-pointer by Mays, who now has 9 of LSU's 27, and the Tigers lead by 4 with the timeout call.
And they continue to be perfect from the outside. And why is that? Because you talk about what LSU is really good at, and that's scoring in the paint. They're shooting 12 percentage points higher in the paint this year than they were a year ago. So teams know that. Now as you try to suffocate your defense and you try to collapse down inside, they can hurt you from the outside. And the shooting today has been red hot. 4 for 4 from beyond the arc, but that's a warm-up 3. No one's even around them within 15 feet on the catch. You don't get that clean a look when you're warming up with your teammates out on the floor.
Yeah, Sean, why is LSU so much better offensively, shooting the ball on their 2s, their 3s, even their free throws than they were a year ago?
It's the head coach. I mean, hey, look, Waters,
I know that, but what has he done?
Waters helps, right? I mean, you obviously you have an influx of talent. You go to a 2-guard set. I think that's a big part of it because you have multiple ball handlers out on the floor, which kind of takes pressure off of Waters. If he's struggling, you can look to Mays. If Mays is not feeling it, you get the ball back to Waters. But it starts with the head coach and the trust and belief. We talk about coaching today in college basketball, and you and I got in this discussion last night. It's about relationships, communication, belief, and trust. Can you get the best out of your players? Are you maximizing their energy levels, their attentiveness, and are they finding success? And the answer for LSU right now is yes, they are.
Gilmore takes a hard fall on the foul in the paint.
They extended out with a 1-3-1 kind of trap. Got it beat from behind and found an easy look in the paint. And you watch the defense scrambling, great diagonal pass. That's how you beat a 1-3-1 with the diagonal look. And a good hard foul that time as Gilmore hit the ground.
Epps was called for the foul. That's number 1 on him. And by the way, LSU has this 4-point lead, and Waters has not even taken a shot yet. Does have 3 assists in 5 minutes of play.
Well, again, for both of these programs, these are 2 really good young head coaches, young in their time as being a head coach. Obviously, you mentioned Coach Keller and the amount of years that he spent. Guys like Eddie Sutton, Bill Self, Billy Kennedy down at Texas A&M, to name just a few. And then for Will Wade, I mean, 5 seasons in now of being a head coach and first time being in a Power 5 conference. And I think, you know, for LSU fans, after a year that was, quite frankly, just miserable last year, and you and I talking about double-digit losses, I mean, blowout after blowout. This year, drastic change even for those returning players and the effort that you're seeing by them out on the floor.
Sean, Coach Wade is 34 years old. He's 3 wins away from 100 already. 97 total victories in his 2 seasons at Chattanooga, where he won 40, and then VCU, and now here at LSU, where he's won 6. Gilmore called for the foul.
Well, what would be a successful season for Will Wade? You know, I mean, you're sitting here at 6-2. You're feeling really good. If you can get a win today, all of a sudden you're 7-2. You get a couple winnable games coming up before you head into conference play, and all of a sudden now you're like, hey, man, we got a chance. I think realistically, with as strong as the SEC is, LSU is a good team. Not a top-flight, top-tier team in the SEC, not this season. And so with that being said, I think an NIT berth would be a great season for Will Wade in year one.
Bogues with a layup right there, and I know you and I have talked about this over the last 24 hours as Mace spins and gets to the rim and lays it in. They're picked 14th in the conference.
They're not the 14th team in the SEC. There's no doubt about that.
So we see the bottom two teams in the coaches' preseason predictions, Tennessee and LSU, and we're pretty sure neither one of those teams are the bottom two.
Yeah, maybe misread that just a smidge. Big game for Tennessee against North Carolina tomorrow.
Yeah.
They played Carolina really tough last year. 76-71 was the final. This one far from being final. Good defense by Stephen F. Austin. They're going to need some more of that. They trailed by 2 to LSU.
Welcome back, Matt Stewart, Sean Farnham. 29-27 LSU the lead on Stephen F. Austin. Just under 8 to play here in the first half. You know, Tremont Waters, just a freshman, already a fixture. Hashtag SC Top 10 this year.
Well, this was a great block versus Houston as time was running out to preserve the win over the Cougars. And the elevation, the freshman making the big play. And, of course, you take it back to the Maui Invitational where he had number 1 and number 2. Against Michigan. And that Michigan win, that 2-point win, a significant win. Marquette knocked off Wisconsin early this season. Obviously, Notre Dame playing very well. That Houston win, the 3-point win against Houston, I think is going to pay off for Will Wade's team moving forward because we mentioned it. A couple of games coming up. Sam Houston State, North Florida, who you'll see a little bit later on today on the SEC Network going against Missouri. So North Florida will come and take on LSU. Meanwhile, the Stephen F. Austin team will go to Columbia, Missouri, and take on the Tigers.
But that block was shocking. Typically, when you have a block on a three-point shot, it might go straight up in the air, pop up in the air. That was like a Karch Karai spike to half court.
I feel like we need to find another volleyball player.
Well, just being honest. He's the only one I know.
No, but I mean, we just go to Karch Karai every single time.
He's the only one I know.
That we got. Then we have to do a better job.
You're right.
Of introducing.
You're right.
Somebody to. I mean,
if I'm going to use the analogy, I got to be a little bit more creative.
Carrie Walsh Jennings. I mean,
there you go.
She's unbelievable. The amount of Olympic victories she's had, her longevity in her career. We've got to move past Karch Karai.
I got to step up my game if I'm going to work with you.
I mean, I hear it all the time, though.
I know.
I got to be more Sports Center. I mean, our nation needs to do a better job building up volleyball stars so that we can talk about somebody else.
Point is well made, Sean. Point is well made. Lob inside, and that's the finish.
He didn't make that ball. Just literally bounced off his hands. He didn't even catch the ball. He wanted to catch that and try to dunk it.
4-point lead again for LSU. Just under 7 to play. Bogues with crossover. Bounce out. Holyfield had a rebound, had it knocked out of his hands.
You know about that last possession of the alley-oop. Watch the way this is. Hands are up. He's going, oh, I got to dunk. And the ball literally just bounced off his fingertips and went in. But he couldn't. He wanted to grab that thing and throw it down. No big man wants to get a tip in above the rim, I promise you.
You want to rip that rim down. 26 and 16 against Houston. Career highs, both of those numbers, points and rebounds. The last two guys to go for at least 25 and 15 in a game, Ben Simmons and Jordan Mickey. And both of those were losses, contested at the rim by Holyfield. He was not going to let Mays throw it down.
Well, offensively, turnovers leading to good runouts for LSU. And if you think about points off of turnovers, right? And we mentioned 27.6 per game for the Lumberjacks. Right now they're getting outscored by LSU on points off of turnovers. That's not a recipe for success.
5-point lead LSU. Wednesday at 7 Eastern, we'll take you to Gainesville, or Sean Farnham will. He's going to be there for number 22 Florida, squaring off against the Dukes of James Madison, right here on the SEC Network, streaming live on the ESPN app.
What a much-needed win, by the way, against Cincinnati after what was a horrendous week for the Gators. They got literally punched in the mouth by FSU, and they didn't answer the call. And then they come back against Loyola Chicago and came out flat and didn't play with the kind of effort and passion that you would anticipate out of the Gators. And I think that's a byproduct of all the success that they had in Portland.
Como, the miss. They'll be a much better team when Egbunu comes back, right?
Well, yeah, when Egbunu is available towards the end of January, it's an N1 opportunity for LSU. But the bigger concern for me is, you fall in love with something, right?
Yeah.
And for Florida, they fell in love with their offense. As we show you another look at the nice passing, late defensive rotation inside the halo area, able to finish. But go back to Florida. They shot the ball so well. Jalen Hudson played out of his mind in Portland. All right. Igor Kulichov, outstanding for Mike White up in Portland. They were scoring they're the leading team scoring in the nation. Then all of a sudden, they get punched in the mouth, and they didn't react well. And why? Because they got away from the foundation of what made their program great last year, and that's defending the basketball. That's what made Florida an Elite Eight team last year. And they need to get back to that if they want to be in the top spot at the end of the conference, which they have a chance to be. Right now, if you're looking at these teams, Texas A&M to me is the best team in the SEC. I would put Florida and Kentucky tied at second, and Tennessee would be right there behind them. And then I put Alabama not that far beyond them. I just saw Alabama play at Arizona last weekend without Braxton Key. McHale Center, a very difficult place to play. They probably could have won that game if Braxton Key was back, and he's going to be back very shortly here.
How about the job that Coach Barnes has done there on Rocky Top, a team picked to finish 13th in the conference, ranked number 20 in the nation right now, and a huge opportunity with, as you mentioned, North Carolina coming to town, a sold-out Thompson Bowling Arena.
Well, you talk about playing hard. I mean, his team plays hard. Grant Williams, Admiral Schofield, those two guys are the trendsetters of that team, and the rest of the team is feeding off of it. Lamont Turner's having a better year this season as well.
I think Kyle Alexander has really developed too.
Yeah, that's a little bit of length. Is something that they haven't had the last couple of years. They've been patiently waiting for him to become a little bit more consistent.
That's the first basket for Harris. It stops a 9-0 run for LSU. Sims, three-pointer. Rebound Harris.
That's the first miss from three for LSU tonight.
They'd hit their first four. Harris takes a three, and he hits it, starting to heat up now. Harris is now 2 for 4 from the floor. He has 5, and Stephen F. Austin, after falling behind, has cut it to 4.
If I'm Sims, though, I'm thinking to myself, do I want to look away from Harris when he has the ball and have my hands down by my side?
No,
probably not.
And Harris is a young man who has improved dramatically in his second season. Averaged 8.5 points a year ago. He's doubled that so far, 17.5. You were talking about his big week that he's had against Rice and against Louisiana Tech, which was a huge emotional win for Coach Kyle Keller, who started his coaching career as an assistant there.
And, you play for multiple reasons. Usually the best teams will play with and for each other, right, every single night. But sometimes there's games on your schedule that you just know matter a little bit more. You mentioned great games. How about Epps? His 16 rebounds, that's the career high. To me, that's the number that you really look at as he's going to check out of the game. Looking at Russell Westbrook last night, 18 rebounds. Say what you want about Russell Westbrook as an NBA player, right? But do you know how hard it is to get 18 rebounds? I mean, you don't see those numbers, especially as a guard, every single night. You don't see guards doing that on a consistent basis. Russell Westbrook, I know it was triple overtime in a great game against the 76ers, but that was incredible last night.
To me, rebounds are a measure of your work quotient.
Yep.
I mean, points, everybody wants to score points. No doubt about that. But when you go get rebounds, that means you're working. Now, some just come to you, but a lot of them you got to really get in there and battle for, and I think you're exactly right. That's a measure of how hard you're willing to work.
Well, and to further your point, I talk at all these AAU events and a lot of these, middle school tournaments and showcases, and kids are walking around on the floor. I got 18. I said, do you realize these college coaches, Division I college coaches, they can walk into a gym anywhere in the country and see a kid score 18 points. That's not going to impress them. How about you get a stop? How about you go grab 20 rebounds? You want to see your scholarship offers go up? Go get 20 rebounds in a game in the summer and just fly all over the court and get 15 assists to go with 20 rebounds. You want to see how many offers you're going to get after that? Your mailbox is going to be full, trust me.
How about set a pick?
Yeah. Be willing to defend the person that's standing in front of you for more than just when they have the ball. Get in a help side position. Those are winning basketball plays.
Augustin on the drive, kick to the corner, and Harris launches a three-pointer. He hits his second in a row, and now Harris has immediately gone from 0 points to their leading scorer with 8. It's a 10-2 Lumberjacks run. They're down by 1. And Waters is still not taking a shot in this game. Now it's starting to get a little bit surprising 16 minutes in. Now he takes a shot. Ahead to Charles. Charles on the break. Shot blocked out of bounds, but there was a foul before the shot.
Now, 1-point game here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Over the last 2.5 minutes, it's been number 1. Getting it done from the outside. Harris, good from 3. 1-point game. I'm listening to you, Dane. Is Peter Burns with you? Can they hear? Can they hear us? Or Jimmy is? Okay. I love Jimmy.
Who's he going to be? We see you, Princess. Does he go?
Jimmy, I will tell you that if I'm going to surgery and I need to have a doctor out of any one of these two teams, I'm not maybe even choosing the team doctor. I'm going to go with your guy, Skylar Mays. A 4.0 plus GPA in pre-med. How about that? I don't know what Jimmy majored in college, but I can guarantee you I didn't major in pre-med, and I also didn't play defense like Mr. Mays has played so far today. His aggressiveness has been great.
Yeah, I maybe took some meds in college, but I was not pre-med.
Listen, I can get you help for that, okay? We'll talk about that off air, okay?
Skylar Mays with 13 points. He has been on fire their last 3 games, Sean, averaging 16.7. He's had a couple of 18-point games, including the game against Houston on Wednesday night. He has really been lighting it up here in his sophomore season.
Yeah, and again, he's doing it without knocking down the three-point shot. It was 0 for 5 last time out from beyond the arc against Houston, and today he's 1 for 1, but it's not the strength of his game. The strength of his game, as we showed you in the highlights, is getting a piece of that paint and creatively finishing. Now, he spins a lot, which makes him susceptible to some charges, but that has not been the case so far this afternoon.
Ty Charles at the line to try to tie this game.
You ever get a 4.0 in school?
No.
How about a 4.0 plus?
No. I mean, the closest I ever got, I think, was like a 3.8. We're talking college, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I got a 3.8 one semester.
I mean, I got to talk to my son. My son got a 94.5 grade point average. That's a 4.0 grade point average, right? He's in the 7th grade.
Yeah.
Came home disappointed. I'm like, whose son are you? You want me to show you my middle school report cards? I promise you. Kid, it didn't look like yours.
That's phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah, I'm proud of him, but yet I feel like he's not proud of himself, and that's a concern.
Lob inside for Reith, and Holyfield knocks it away. Scramble for the ball. 10 on the shot clock. Rochelle, scoop shot. Got his own miss. We've got a reset on the shot clock now and a fresh 30. Waters gets it back. And Waters jumps into Holyfield and draws the foul.
Coach Keller beside himself, leaning on the scorer's table across from us.
That was like a Fred Sanford move over there, wasn't it?
Oh, I mean, because you play good defense and then you bail them out. And there's no need for the bailout there. And, of course, it was clearly on the pass, but a one-on-one opportunity. I would say what I'd be disappointed about if I was Coach Keller on that possession is the fact that you gave up 2 offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
Your first possession defense, solid. You don't get the rebound. Your second possession defense, solid. You still don't get the rebound. If you give any team 3 cracks at it, they're probably going to find a way to score some points.
First free throws of the day for Waters, who leads the team now with 30 makes out of 37 attempts. He's just at 81%, and that's just his first point of the day.
And the Waters run dry so far here in the first half.
Like that.
And that's a big part of why this game is tied. Now, to his credit, the freshman hasn't forced it, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's trying to learn how to play against this pressure and this defense, and he's managed it pretty well. He has no turnovers as well so far in the game. So he's taking care of the ball against a high-pressure defense. That is a win. But you're going to look for him to come out in the second half and start trying to find a way to score.
Kevon Harris picks up the dribble. Gets a new dribble after Rochelle knocked it away from him. Takes the 3 and banks it in.
You know when you're good and you're hot?
Yeah.
Is when you can just pull up and bank shots in from straightaway 3. I mean, that's how much of a rhythm. We mentioned in the last 2 games, 79% from beyond the arc. Also, they got him engaged. He's 3 for 4 today.
Yeah, he's their leading scorer now with 11. Rochelle in the corner off the iron and a tip attempt. Mays gets it back and puts it in and one.
Now, Stephen F. Austin has to rebound a basketball. If they're not going to rebound at the offensive end of the floor, watch this. You take the charge. Now, you're laying on the floor for too long. Get up and make the next play. You get the tip out, and then the finish.
Foul was called on Niemanen. And Mays a chance to complete a 3-point play and score his 16th point of the day. Well, maybe more than that as he's battling for the loose ball. Scramble, jump ball. It's going to belong to the Tigers. Tonight at 8:30 Eastern, we'll take you to Columbia for Missouri squaring off against North Florida, the Ospreys. Right here on the SEC Network, streaming live on the ESPN app. That's game number 4 out of our quadruple header today.
I like
Missouri
Missouri a lot, and I'll tell you why, even without Michael Porter, I love him. I think with Michael Porter, they were an isolation basketball team. The ball got stuck in his hands too frequently. And that's just from the exhibition stuff. Nice back cut by Waters, able to finish there.
They blow the inbounds, and that's the first field goal for Waters in this game.
Without Porter, though, on that team, what you're seeing is better ball movement, better floor spacing, and because there's not that guy that can go get 20 points, and trust me, they're going to miss him. But I do like the ball movement you see from Missouri, and I think that's a big part of why they've had success.
Connect. knocks it home, and Stephen F. Austin has a 1-point lead.
What a fun game. I think
We're on
both
pace
teams
for like
over 40.
Yeah, we're on pace for like a 90-point game here.
You like points? We got you covered today here in Baton Rouge.
And nothing against defense, because obviously defense wins championships. We've all heard the axiom. As the ball's nearly forced a turnover right there, a scramble for it. 7 on the shot clock. Reith with 4 on the clock, airballed it. What I was going to say is, if you want to get people enthused about basketball, score points. Shoot the ball well and score points. LSU's done that so far this year. Augustin to the rim. And out of bounds off the Tigers.
I think Harris got poked in the eye. He went up for that rebound. I think he got poked in the eye, and he is down, and that would be a concern for Coach Keller with 44.2 seconds left to go. You'd ideally want Harris to be out on the floor, especially as hot as he's been down the stretch of this first half. So you see the drive. This should have been a make, and then as he goes up,
boom.
Yeah, on the way back down, Rochelle got him in the eye.
Harris 4 of 7 shooting from the floor, 3 of 5 behind the three-point line. 6 rebounds, 11 points in 13 minutes of work. Number 3 in the
sub for Harris.
Yeah, he's number 3 in the Southland Conference in points per game. He's number 4 in three-point shooting. He's number 7 in threes per game. He's out of the Atlanta area, played at ML King High School.
And they're going to take Harris right back to locker room right now.
Difference of 13 seconds, game clock and shot clock. Charles, three-pointer. 4-point lead for the Jacks.
8 made threes here in the first half by Stephen F. Austin, and they go to a zone on this possession. They'll still be aggressive out of the zone.
Maybe not after Waters cans that 3 right in their face.
And the reaction time was a step slow right there. They often look to trap and even double out of their zone.
How about that, though? They go to the zone, and Waters just launches an NBA-style 3 on him. Drive, Bogues, misses. At the buzzer, Mays. And that is the end of the first half.
What a well-played first half, and Mays has been the guy for LSU. He's got 15 points headed to the break.
Turned it into the 1-point lead they enjoy as they start this second half, and you're right. A big developing story for the Lumberjacks.
And
as
we're
he's not
efforting it right now to find out what's going on.
And he's not on the bench right now, so that's not a good sign. He has been their big offensive centerpiece this season, and certainly here today as well.
Coach is having a conversation.
I mean, meantime, LSU is down, Sean. They shot 63% from the floor. They were 5 of 8 on their three-point shots. They were 8 of 11 at the free throw line, and that was still not good enough to have the lead in this game.
Well, and I'll tell you the one stat again. What did Coach Kyle Keller tell us that he's looking at? Their defense, they want to be disruptive. 11 first-half assists for LSU. LSU was very comfortable against the pressure defense.
Inside, Gilmore, and the rebound by Sims. LSU down the floor, a chance to take the early lead here in the second half. Pass deflected out of bounds by Holyfield.
I think for LSU, obviously, Mays got up to the hot start, and as quiet as Waters was, then you look down at the box score in the final 2 minutes of the game, he scored 7 points to go along with 3 assists.
The update from Stephen F. Austin on Tevon Harris as the three-pointer is hit by Epps is that Harris is going through concussion checks at this moment, and his return is questionable. So more than just a poke in the eye, he's going through concussion tests to determine the severity of his injury. And I didn't see that his head hit the floor, but maybe it was a harder knock to his head than just a poke to the eye. Augustin is able to regroup and get the shot off with the miss and the rebound by Epps. But that would be a potentially devastating blow as Mays drives in and gets the bank shot. That would be a devastating blow to the Lumberjacks' chances of pulling off the upset today.
I'm not sure they can win the game without him.
Yeah, me either.
I don't know where you find the points. I don't know where you find your toughness on the glass. He was the leading rebounder and the leading scorer in the first half. And that's a massive loss for the Lumberjacks. Meanwhile, the other loss for the Lumberjacks right now is they're losing their mind watching Mays drive down the middle of the paint and score with ease.
Mays now has 17. Bogues with the clock winding down off the front iron, and the rebound controlled by Epps. Epps now 3 boards to go along with his 12 points. And you mentioned the drives by Mays that's resulted in LSU outscoring the Lumberjacks 26-10 in the paint. Long 3, Waters. Epps was crashing the board, but the Lumberjacks come away with it. Gilmore on the drive, lost the ball. It was knocked out of bounds. It is off of the Jacks. It'll be LSU's ball.
We'll take it back to the drive, and this is where the contact was made. Again, I don't understand how it's concussion protocol, like the school's telling us. I mean, you take a look at this, he got poked in the eye. How that turns into concussion protocol, I don't know, but obviously serious enough for him to not be on the bench with his team right now, and he's not there, and the lead is gone. LSU out in front early in the second.
This is the first game. Wednesday at 7 Eastern, we'll take you to Gainesville, where you'll visit with Sean Farnham in the first game of his week-long stay in Gainesville for the number 22 Florida Gators against the James Madison Dukes, right here on the SEC Network and streaming live on the ESPN app. Are you moving in?
No, but I'm taking up residency. You can see me just for the week before I get back home for the Christmas holiday, but it's going to be a fun week down there. Next week I get Georgia Tech at Georgia. Always a rivalry game between those two teams, and of course Mark Fox's team playing pretty well. They got a game up at UMass today. But Yante Maton is playing like you'd expect a preseason conference player of the year to play like. And then of course Florida trying to gain some momentum and get their feet back underneath them because they start conference play at Texas A&M. Think about Texas A&M's start to the conference season for Billy Kennedy. They get to host Florida, and then after you're done hosting Florida, the following week, you're at Kentucky. Those are your first 2 Tuesdays.
I certainly think the non-conference schedule the Aggies have played have made them battle-tested for those first 2 weeks of the SEC. I don't think they'll be intimidated by any means facing the Gators and the Wildcats right off the bat. That's a veteran team, well put together, huge wins already in the non-conference. Epps inside will go to the line.
Great pass, though, by Waters. The pin and seal underneath by Epps was exactly what you would look for. They've got the size advantage, a little screen off the baseline as they run them off. There's nobody on the backside to help. They overloaded the ball side of the floor. You see 2 guys out on the wing. You know there's nobody opposite. He's got to be able to finish that one and get his point guard an assist.
And Sean, is it just my imagination, or is the demeanor and the spirit of this Lumberjacks team different with Harris?
Well, they've been punched in the gut.
Yeah.
And they have not responded yet. Doesn't mean they won't, but they haven't responded yet. By the way, this is a pet peeve of mine. Okay, so I think Waters should get the assist. Epps got 2 points. Waters should get the assist.
Right, a foul was the only thing that prevented the bucket.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Kennett throws it out of bounds. Let me ask you, as a player, you know, back in your days when you were playing and you guys lost your star player, your guy, the guy that was carrying them that night, how difficult was it to rally from that? What can you do to get beyond that?
It happened twice for me at UCLA. My sophomore year, we had beaten a very good Michigan team, a tractor trailer, a team that had won the Big Ten tournament. It was a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. We knocked them off, but we lost Baron Davis to an ACL tear. Wow. And in the Sweet 16, we played Kentucky, a team that went on to win the national championship that year. And they beat us, I think, by like 27. And we just had no answer. And that was a week later from actually seeing the injury and trying to figure it out. This is an in-game moment where you're trying to make an adjustment, and now you've got to try to find a way to manufacture points. If I'm Stephen F. Austin right now, I'm buckling down and I'm doubling down at the defensive end of the floor, making more plays like this. You've got to string together 4 or 5 stops. You've got to get some turnovers that lead to offense. They have not gotten their normal number, only 8 points off of turnovers, and again, they average over 27 per game.
Holyfield fumbles it out of bounds on a turnover for Stephen F. Austin. That's number 8 for them. And as you pointed out earlier, it's LSU that has more points off of turnovers in this game than the Lumberjacks.
And good defense this time. Just swarming and attacking and coming down. You can't bring the ball down once you catch it down in the post. And if you're LSU, you got to seize the moment right now. That's back-to-back charges.
Yep, second consecutive possession that Mays has gone in there and has been called for the charge.
And you've got to be smart. You're driving in, and the defense has already slid over, clearly demonstrating position. You're leaving your feet drifting forward. If he goes straight up and straight down and shoots that as like a little floater from about 7 or 8 feet away, there's no foul. It's probably going to be 2 points, and you go to the other end. Now instead, he goes to the bench.
Can you say halftime adjustment? Knet on the drive, and it rolls off the rim. Epps snags the rebound.
Remember, we talked about Mays in the first half, and I said, hey, he is susceptible to charges. I didn't think he'd pick up 2 that quick here in the second half. And that kind of levels the playing field back out. We'll see if it gives any energy and life to Stephen F. Austin. No Harris, no Mays on the floor. Play on. Let's go.
Lumberjacks scoreless on their first 8 possessions of this second half. Their 1-point lead has turned into a 4-point deficit. Make that 0 for 9 now as Gilmore misses the 3. Waters all the way through to Epps on the baseline. Oh my, you got to get points on that. Charles, 0 for 10. 0 for 10 on their possessions to start this second half.
That dirty rice was good at halftime, though.
Man, it was great. Got to get me some more of that before I get out of here, right? My boy here from California didn't know what dirty rice was.
I know what dirty rice is, and I know what bad shots are. We've seen a lot of missed shots here in the first 4 minutes. It does. The fact that we can get the headset on underneath is awesome.
You're right. It adds to the effect.
One for me. There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Tiger Girls. Thank you, ladies.
54-48, LSU in the lead, and Cousin Eddie in the crowd here today. How about that?
Yeah, they got the Cousin Eddie giveaway, and of course, I'm game for any giveaway.
Me too, man. If it's free, it's for me.
I mean, you think about, of course, it's paying homage to the fact that National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and I'm trying to channel what Coach Kyle Keller's probably telling his team right now. I found this quote from the movie. I don't know what to say except for it's Christmas, and we're all in misery. They haven't made a shot here in the second half. They're a donut here in the second half. I mean, they've got to be able to start knocking down some shots out of this timeout and try to find themselves a way to manufacture, whether it's at the free throw line or whether it's at the rim. You've got to be able to score.
Yeah, where are the points going to come from? I think that's the big question with Kevon Harris in the locker room undergoing concussion test. I mean, typically the next two guys on your scoring sheet are Holyfield and Bogues, and they combined have 13 points. So one of those two guys or both of those two guys got to step it up here. Provide some offense. Meantime, they're still only down 6, even though they've had 10 consecutive scoreless possessions. Gilmore underneath to Augustin, who puts it in.
Defense manufacturing offense that time. First made field goal, and I like the fact that they were at the rim. 4 out of their first 7 shots here in the second half were 3-point looks. I know they had success by making 8 in the first half, but don't fall into fool's gold and believing that it's going to stay hot from the outside.
Edwards takes the 3 and drains it. Darrell Edwards with his second 3-pointer of the game.
Good news for Stephen F. Austin potentially here is Harris is out of the locker room and in the tunnel. I can see him, and he's running back and forth
Gilmore
inside the tunnel right now. So his potential return would be huge.
And that's twice now that they went to the rim instead of settled for those 3-point shots, and they gave him 4 points here.
Just got a text from Peter Burns. He says he wants one of those hats.
For a price, Peter, for a price.
I mean, I can save it for you, Peter, until we get to St. Louis for the SEC tournament in March, but it's going to be a little bit warmer there. And there's Harris, as I mentioned. You can see him from our vantage point going through some of the steps that's going to be necessary to see if he can come back into this game. And I like the way he's moving right now. At the time, he wasn't really moving. It was the trainer that was moving, and he's got good lateral quickness too, but Coach Keller can't put him in the game.
Well, he could, but it probably wouldn't be very effective. The drive, Waters misses, and the rebound by Gilmore. Lumberjacks continuing to show some life here. Augustin on the drive. Shot fake. To the low post, and Holyfield with the finish, the real deal.
What a difference coming out of the timeout. And I see what you did there, by the way. It didn't go missed, okay? But coming out of the timeout, obviously a change as far as mental and physical approach to this game for Stephen F. Austin, trying to man up and be stronger underneath the rim.
They're coming down the floor with a chance to tie the game with a 3. Instead, they'll try to cut it to 1. Gilmore missed on the offensive rebound. Looks like he's fatigued. Edwards on the drive, the scoop shot, foul is going to be called on the Jacks.
It starts, again, defensive effort, wall up defensively, get the rebound, and at the opposite end of the floor, a great pin and seal by Holyfield, able to finish.
Holyfield just picked up his 3rd foul back here on the defensive end on the block, and that puts Edwards at the line. Edwards only 5 for 5 at the line this season. Doesn't get there very often since he's pretty much a 3-point shooter.
Think about this. Edwards came into the game with only 3 turnovers and 147 minutes played this year. He has 2 this afternoon. And Stephen F. Austin, they do a great job of just getting you to feel a little bit more uncomfortable. And you mentioned the reason why he doesn't get to the free throw line is because he's always hovering beyond the 3-point line looking for his shot.
5-point lead for LSU. How long before Kevon Harris can get back in this game for the Jacks? And can they hang in there long enough without him? Holyfield back to the basket. The whip out to Augustin. Hits the 3-pointer.
And that was a great shot based on the fact that they collapsed the defense to start with by getting the ball in the paint. That was a high percentage look on the kickout.
7th three-pointer of the season for Augustin as the Lumberjacks are down only 2. Rochelle drive, shot rejected out of bounds, but a foul is going to be called on the Lumberjacks.
Well, how do you get a higher percentage look from the outside? You dump the ball down low, you relocate ever so slightly, and as your defensive player turns his head, he's got to change his angle for the closeout.
Allows Augustin to slide to a spot on the floor, be ready to take the pass and knock it home.
Worst thing you can do as a perimeter shooter is pass and stand. Don't pass and stand. Pass and move. You can move literally, as you just saw, 4 or 5 feet. And that 4 or 5 feet is going to be the difference of you getting an open look or you being defended and then getting nothing out of that possession.
Brandon Rochelle at the line, only a 58% free throw shooter. But good on those two, and it's a 4-point lead again for LSU.
Great offense, regardless of against man or against zone. You've got to be moving. You cannot be standing and watching. If you're standing and watching, something's not right.
Charles off a screen, dumps inside, pass deflected. Bogues got it back. On the wing, Augustin knocks down his 2nd consecutive three-pointer. He has 7. It's a 1-point game again. We asked the question a few moments ago, where would the offense come from? And Augustin has provided that answer.
Yeah, he's had big moments in the course of his career. Hit the three-pointer at the buzzer against Louisiana Monroe. He did not play against Rice after suffering a minor injury at team's practice. He didn't play against Rice, but he's playing right now here in the second half. Back-to-back threes from the outside, and we got ourselves a 1-point game. LSU up by 1. Here's your SEC headlines. The big one for me is the one at the top. An NCAA best 4 teams ranked in the RPI top 10. You want to change the national narrative of the SEC, you got to win games in November and December. And teams like Tennessee, who have another opportunity to get a statement win against North Carolina in Knoxville, that's tomorrow on ESPN. Make sure you're.
And again, Charles is the guy that's been really battling injuries the 2 years that Kyle Keller has been the head coach. What a huge pick-me-up that would be. Turnover LSU as Mays took.
I think what they need is him to drop about probably 6 or 7 pounds. And that all comes with conditioning and just getting back into game shape.
Bogues on the drive. Pass stolen by Waters. Ahead to Mays. Mays the crossover. Missed the layup, the follow. Here come the Lumberjacks. They have a chance for the lead. Gilmore. And an offensive foul called on Gilmore. Kyle Keller is below. Lob up top. And Epps with the finish. And Waters nearly steals it. Deflect.
Phil was slow in reacting.
6 assists for Waters today. Ball loose. Demonin had his hands on it. Brother, we're going to have a tight finish here today.
You act like I'm surprised.
I know you're not surprised. We've been talking about
We've been
this.
talking about this since you and I got into town last night.
Yeah, we knew this was going to be a tight game. I think maybe some of the talk radio guys here in Baton Rouge might be surprised by it. Como misses the layup and misses his putback.
A foul for Waters to kind of say, hey, you know what? I'm leading the Power 5 conference my freshman year in assists.
Turnover, Stephen F. Austin.
Take a lead, and twice they've turned the ball over.
If you're going for the upset, you hate to miss those opportunities because you don't know whether that's going to be your last one or not. To grab the lead, maybe a little bit more momentum. Waters finds a spot and hits the. That's his second three of the day. He now has double digits. He's at 10 with 6 assists. What impresses you most about your freshman? He says, well, number one, he doesn't look like, doesn't practice like, or play like a freshman. Canet off the end.
And his ability to make the right reads and calls in those out-of-bound underneath situations. That's at least 8 points today on those kind of situations.
Tight defense on Waters. Como up in his face. Long three-pointer, rim out. Rebound Holyfield, and again the Lumberjacks come down the floor, a chance to take the lead. Bowes, and the lead for the Lumberjacks. The reverse layup.
There's going to be a sub coming in because Como was too relaxed against Waters, and he's not relaxed there as he gets the steal.
Como the steal, the crossover dribble, lays it off for Holyfield, had it knocked away. Here comes Waters. It's a 1-on-2. And Waters initiates. Has 12. He's 4 for 4 at the line. The Tigers have been an exceptional free throw shooting team this year. Exceptional today. They're 16 out of 19, 84%. Augustin fires over Waters off the front of the iron and that's the rebound. Clears it quickly to Mays to the corner. Edwards. Oh, Reed missed the slant. Augustin in trouble, finds an outlet. Holyfield, 3. Here comes Edwards. Goes through the defense, got fouled by Holyfield.
Going against UCLA, you have Oklahoma versus Wichita State. There's a lot of good college basketball games being played this week, including North Carolina, Tennessee tomorrow. But there's also some NFL action today. You've got the bowl games, as you mentioned, the Las Vegas Bowl.
Canet with the drive in the basket. We're tied at 72 again. Ivan Canet, now their leading scorer with 13 points per day. Today, he averages 7.5 per game. Waters initiates contact. He does a lot of that. This time he didn't get the whistle, but he does get the steal back on the other end. Mays, Reef on the wing, up top in the jam.
Saw a little fatigue factor in their defensive transition that time out of Stephen F. Austin. They got to get back with a better sense of purpose. Don't allow one bad play to turn into 2.
Seven on the clock. Bogues drives, got tied up. They'll call a jump ball. It's going to go. Kind of hit with the Lumberjacks a little bit here. With 5.5 minutes to play, can they get a second win for this final run? Waters on the drive and a whistle. They're up to 78% coming into today, which leads the SEC. That is 9 percentage points higher than a year ago.
That's probably because they're getting the guys that they actually want at the free throw line to shoot more free throws.
There you go.
So often people talk about, oh, not a good free throw shooting team.
Another turnover.
Waters' hands was in front defensively and deflected that.
Epps barely grazed the. Under 5 to play. Stephen F. Austin has never beaten a team in the SEC. They do have 3 wins in their history against A&M, but before the Aggies were a member of this team today with Their star, Kevon Harris, on the bench, possible concussion. 13 points, 4 rebounds for Kennett. Holyfield nearly comes up with a steal, and he does as the ball.
Right away, as he brought it down, Waters deflects it out of bounds, and it maintains possession for his team.
That's the 13th turnover for LSU. That's way off the number, however, that the Lumberjacks typically force in a game. The give and go goes to Gilmore. The shot was blocked, but a foul is going to be missed. 2 free throws. You can't miss those golden opportunities like that. Mays drops it off for Epps. That's another offensive foul on Mays.
Right over me, and I'm okay with that. That's some toughness that we've seen out of Lumberjacks.
Under 4 to play. Holyfield to the rim, blew the dunk.
2 missed free throws and a missed dunk.
Just can't.
And then a foul.
And Gil as Watts came in the first half, so only 4 and 3 charges called against Mays here in the second half. Inside they go to Charles, and he gets the basket.
Such a great screen. One of the keys on his screen that he just set was he held the screen. Too often guys want to roll too quickly. Hold your screen and just get that extra beat and then go, and you're going to be open.
Mays stutter step, gets to the paint, misses the scoop shot. Rochelle had his shot blocked by.
I'm just impressed. Really, the high level of this basketball game for both these teams.
Been a fun game, no doubt about it. Holyfield inside, working against Epps to Kennett, and slashing to the basket, and he kicked it off his knee.
And now you've got an extremely tall lineup out on the floor with Reith and Epps both out there together. The zone defense is possession by Stephen F. Austin. They went to this in the first half, and it was Waters over the top with a 3.
Epps in a double team, gets out of it. 10 on the shot clock now for the Tigers. Down to 7 on the clock. Mays in trouble, gets rid of it. 3 on the clock. Edwards, shot clock violation. Basket will not count. He did not get it off in time.
The shot clock.
Jacks down the floor again. A chance to grab the lead here with 2 minutes to play. Charles behind the back, drives with the left hand. Epps now has 10 boards, another double-double for him today, 16 and 10. Clock winding down, Mays to the basket, and another offensive foul.
Now to open up a seam or a gap.
Inbounds comes to Kennett.
Charles is coming. Here he comes.
Kennett with the lane, drives, lays it in, and the Lumberjacks have a 1-point lead.
They brought both Holyfield and Charles up, and a nice job absorbing the contact underneath and finishing by Kennett.
This is Waters. He lost it.
I go right back to that same play. Set a high on-ball screen.
70 seconds. Stolen away by Waters. 1-on-2, drives, and a whistle. And Waters is 79-78. We're now under a minute to play. Waters picks up Augustin. Bogues on the dribble for the Lumberjacks. Drives to the hoop, fumbles it, gets it to Augustin. Inside Charles, heaves it up there. Scramble, Bogues grabs it, gets it out. Fresh 30, Kennett takes a long 3 and my goodness! He was fouled, he was off balance, drains a 3, Lumberjacks lead by 2. Now can Waters pull off some more heroics, launches a 3, Tremont Waters, the huge 3-pointer. Do the Jacks have another dagger in them? Scramble for the ball with 10 seconds. They get it to Kennett underneath, and he puts it in with 6 seconds. Out called here by the Tigers. Here comes Waters.
Waters inside to Epps, blew the layup, and Stephen F. Austin has pulled off the upset.